Greetings all. We're here today with two members of the Elder Board, Jim Whitehead on the right, and Craig Crandall, who also serves as the moderator for the board. 2020 has been an unusual year, to say the least. So let me ask you, if you had three adjectives to describe this year, what would you say?
Wow, fun question. I would probably say difficult, and you probably can fill in all the reasons why. I would also say fulfilling. We've had to rely on God more than ever and trust in His work in our lives and in our church. We've seen elders, Pastor Tom and our ministry team step up in roles that nobody expected they'd need to, in a way to fill clearly some pastoral positions that we didn't expect to be vacating, as well as even worship ministry leadership that vacated this year. So fulfilling, because we've seen everybody in the church step up and fill those roles and fill into those gaps that were created by a lot of unforeseen circumstances and certainly COVID. And then probably finally hopeful, because this has really given us a chance to level set on priorities and our vision and our mission as a church. And it is God's church, and He's going to lead us in the direction we need to go. We're praying for listening ears and ready hearts to receive all that. And we're expectant about good things that God's going to do for us and through our church family heading on into the future.
Well, I would certainly agree with what Craig said. When this question was posed, the first thing that came to my mind for 2020, for the year, was unexpected. Did not anticipate everything that's going on. And following up that was unpredictability. We don't know what's going from week to week. The thing that we do know, and that is constant, is that God's in control. And finally, because of all these things, it's been a challenging year. And as Craig has said, everybody in the church has stepped up to the challenge that's been presented to us. So I guess I could say, it didn't get a fourth word, it's been an interesting year.
Well, following up on your responses, what has challenged you as an elder as a result of the adversity the church has faced this year?
For me, it's been the ongoing changes. We really don't know from week to week what was coming down. And I think in that regard, the thing that has made it even possible for us to function is the leadership that Craig has provided to the Elder Board. It's been a difficult time, and the Lord brought us the right person at the right time. And for that, I am most grateful.
Well, for me, I kind of go back to that first answer I had about being difficult, and it's been difficult in several ways. I'll kind of run through them: emotionally, physically, functionally. Emotionally, needless to say, I lost a close friend and mentor in Pastor Bill, and I appreciated through the years, whether it was just my personal life or as a member of the board or as a moderator on the board, being able to meet with him and talk with him about plans and talk about my personal life and some of the challenges and get his encouragement. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way as I do on that. So that's been an emotional challenge, and I'm still kind of reconciling that and feeling that loss. And I'll say, functionally speaking, we've stepped up into a lot of new roles that we didn't expect we would have as part of the church leadership. Much more broadened role, taking on more administration, more leadership, more involvement, really trying to clarify our vision and our mission as a church, as our leadership team. Certainly putting job descriptions together, working through some of the mechanics of how we would hire a pastoral staff as the youth pastor position vacated, and now the senior pastor position, of course. And then just filling in support roles, trying to support Tom as best we can. Tom is really the administrative head pastor of our church, has really taken on a load, and it's been very much our concern that he would just be overwhelmed by it. So we're all trying to chip in ways that functionally to alleviate some of that burden on him. And then as we've hired a new pastor in the youth department, it's just been really important to make sure Patrick gets a good start and a good onboarding. And there was some transition time in between there that I helped fill in, and our youth ministry team helped fill in various ways, and people, again, just stepping up into those roles, and they're very supportive of Patrick, and Patrick's off to a great start. And then I'll just say, finally, physically speaking, I can feel it, the burden of the year. Certainly my work hasn't changed. I'm still working at least a full-time job at Nationwide, and it's been a strange year for businesses as well, and that is very much the case with my company. My folks moved into Cherry Park Plaza earlier this year, right before COVID in February. My dad in getting some special care there. And it's just been a difficult responsibility and a challenge because of COVID to really minister to their needs as much as I would like. And then our family has had a lot of change. Jake and Danielle got married this year. Jake and Danielle both graduated from Biola and Talbot. Jake getting his Master's of Divinity. A lot of things happening there in their lives. And of course, planning for that wedding was an interesting thing during COVID, a lot of redoing of plans and rethinking of plans. And again, we had many in the church family just step up to really help facilitate things that needed to happen there. And Megan losing her jobs due to the COVID situation, and now living in Beaverton. It's just, there's been a lot going on just physically, and I'm feeling the weight of that at times, and just trying to make sure I have a sense of balance and that I'm really trusting the Lord through it all.
How have some of your responsibilities changed or evolved over this past year?
Well, certainly, one of the things that's changed is the elder boards had to meet a lot more, which is, again, put a lot of pressure on Craig. For me personally, the biggest change was when the elder board appointed me co-chairman of the pastoral search committee. That has been a heavy load, not one that I anticipated. I knew that Pastor Bill was sick. I knew that at some point he would be replaced, but I didn't think it was going to be in 2020 so quickly. And so it's a position that I've taken very seriously. We're looking at the future of Wood Village Baptist Church for 10, 15, maybe 20 years. So that has been the biggest change for me. The other change is the elders, have a list of what I would call homebound shut-in folks who can't get here every Sunday. So we call them on a weekly basis to see how they're doing. And I do have to say, in some respects, that's probably one of the upsides to COVID, because we're much more in touch with these people than we would normally be and in depth, because we usually see them on Sunday. And most of those folks aren't able to come now, even though we're back open. So that's been a big challenge. The other major challenge that we have seen is because since we can't all get together, the tremendous use and increase of need for technology, which is, for some of us, been a huge learning curve. And a lot of the credit for being able to pull some of that off, including things like this interview, Zeke Goodrich. I mean, his knowledge of the technology and the music stuff make a big difference. So it's been a whole bunch of things. And I could probably sit here for another half hour and tick them off to you, but I'm grateful that the Lord has given us the folks that he has at this church, and everybody has stepped up.
Mm-hmm. For me, you probably heard a little bit on this already from me, but with all those kind of new responsibilities and roles has come a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, a lot of prayer, a lot of close communication with the elder board on matters. I know Tom and I communicate on a very frequent basis and have been throughout the course of the year, especially as the whole COVID thing was continuing to emerge. That became a very important status for he and I to be talking about the progress and plans. Tom has put a lot of work into staying up to speed on the requirements in our local area with regard to COVID. A lot of planning with the worship team and team that put on their ongoing worship services about how to execute our worship services, whether they were online or in the field during the summer and now back inside again, and just continuing to collaborate with Tom on the plans for that and sharing with the board as we've needed to any decisions coming out of some of that planning. So that probably just has added to some of the responsibilities. And I would say it's been very, again, gratifying to be able to, fulfilling to be able to work with the board and work with Tom so closely and get to know them through a very pressurized time, and then get to also work with our worship ministry team who's been all in for us this whole year through all of this, as they always have. And people that are really willing to sacrifice and give to us, and they have been, and they continue to tell us that they're all in. So very gratified by that.
Lastly, both of you have been asked to stay on an extra year as elders. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot that goes into that probably, but we've spent a lot of time earlier in the year, even before we really knew we were going to have to immediately replace our pastoral positions. We had started a lot of conversation about the vision and mission of our church going forward. And then as we saw things continue to emerge and ramp up for both Raymond and Pastor Raymond and then Pastor Bill, as things started becoming more clear. But by that time, we had really well defined a lot of our mission and vision going forward into 2021 and beyond. So that was kind of part of it. And I would say also there's just been a lot of logistical on and off challenges with COVID that we've been working through and making plans. We've got a really good collaboration and communication with Tom and on the board dealing with some of those COVID challenges. I would say now executing on the fact that we've got a new youth pastor in Patrick and helping make sure he's transitioned well and has good footing. All the board has been very all in terms of supporting him through that process, and we want to continue to see that through. It's just not a matter of, hiring a person, but we need to support him and help him transition well into his new role. Of course, we've been continuing to run our church ministries through a very difficult time, but we're also supporting Tom as he's really taken the lead on that. And we're also in the middle of this senior pastor search process, which Jim is leading, and a team of representatives that are representing us well on that committee. Just knowing that there's so much yet to see through, the elders, I would say the other elders, when we were talking about Jim and I leaving, brought up the subject, as well as Tom, of Jim and I staying on because they really wanted to maintain the continuity of our planning and to really see through the execution of those plans and continue to stay in close contact. We've got great communication going on, really good chemistry, and I think those are the things and the reasons why the board wanted Jim and I to stay on. And yet at the same time, we also felt it really important to bring somebody new into the board and to be preparing them. And Glenn Maya was willing to step into that, and you approved him wholeheartedly. And so we'll really be excited to have Glenn on the board in the next 3 years.
And I would agree with Craig that probably if you had to sum it up in a single word, it would be continuity. The fact that I'm heading up the Senior Pastor Search Committee really needed to make sure that that was continued through the first of the year, because we had no idea when we would be appointing that person. So that was necessary. Each of the elders also has one of the ministry teams that they serve on, so that would have necessitated another change there. So it just seemed like a good idea at the time, and I support it very much. I'm cautiously optimistic that as we head into 2021, COVID will start waning and things will start smoothing out a little bit. But for right now, continuity was of paramount importance.
Well, both of you are going the extra mile in your willingness to extend your term of service another year. So on behalf of the church family, thank you for your sacrificial service, especially during this unique and challenging time.
It's our pleasure, and I just want to say thank you to the Wood Village family. Been so faithful to one another in their ministry, in their prayer for the ministry, in their giving toward the ministry. Of course, we're a family, and that's what this is all about. And we're in it for the long haul with each other, so we've all got a part to play.